Marvelous Designer comes with a bunch of pre-made avatars for us to use, and as a character artist, I have to be very careful what I talk here about those avatars, because they are, well, let's just look at what they are. We have 3 versions of female. The C one is the latest one that the Marvelous team added, and the same goes for the male. We have male A, B, C, and for some reason, Marvelous Designer team decided to go with some nudity for the latest versions. So we have even the kid is naked. So I'm not sure what's that all about, but let's just pick one of them. Let's go with female, and this is somewhat basic default avatar that first Marvelous came with. And those avatars, they are let's just say they are not exactly representing human realistic figure. They're very stylized. They're quite slim. They are very boxy, and yeah, let's just not go any further than that. The beautiful thing about those avatars that Marvelous comes with is that they have a bunch of things that we can choose. We can, for example, we can choose shoes. We can choose hair. We can change texture. In here, for example, we can see all the textures that are used for this particular avatar, and if we want, we can always modify them. Perhaps we want the tone of the skin to be different, or we want our own texture altogether. We can export the avatar and check the UVs and do our own texturing, all of those things, right? So there is some customization inside of it, but the great thing about it is that all those avatars, they have motion files in them. So if we are recording an animation and we want the garments to animate, and then want it to export to another program, we can load one of those motion files that Marvelous comes with. So this is helpful. This is really nice. It's just a little bit of a caution, I guess, that these avatars, they are not representative of real life figure, of real life person. So they're quite stylized, and all the garments created on those avatars, they're going to be somewhat stylized as well, I would say. And just to demonstrate this a little bit clearer, I'm going to open male C, and if you are somewhat touchy, or well, not exactly ready to see a male figure somewhat naked, but somewhat, it's strange. Okay, it's just a strange thing. I'm just gonna open it, and you will decide for yourself what it is. So one thing, if we double click on those thumbnails representing the avatars, we have options here, and those are the same options if we go to File and we click Open Avatar. We can either open the avatar, which will replace the avatar that we have here. We can tick the automatically out arrangement points, and the program will try to recognize all the limbs that the avatar has, and if it matches a human figure, it will the program will set the arrangement points automatically. And then we have Add, which will add a new avatar next to this one, and then we have the option to load as morph target, and we'll talk about as morph target in another video. So brace yourselves, because we're going to load this creature right here. Right, so this is what I meant about a stylization of the avatars, as well as the strange choice to go with nudity for the avatars. This is again, I cannot help but talk about it from a point of view of a character artist. This is just very, very, very strange. So be cautious when you use those avatars if you want to create something realistic. If you want to make something stylized, or perhaps some kind of block out, for something, or if something is baggy that hides the figure underneath, then for sure this is a good choice. But if you are going for some realism, then definitely try to find something better than those avatars in here. Now let's talk a little bit about the properties of the avatar, and I'm using my own model. This is something that I've created using scans and my own modeling. So it's more representative of a real human figure, even though he's quite wide-shouldered and very sporty. But if we click on the avatar and we go into the property editor, we have all the good things that we can change. The first thing is one of my favorites actually. So the first option that we have is skin offset, and this is really interesting because it can create a look that we might not be able to create using the garments, using some modifications of the garments. And let me just demonstrate what it does. Basically, the skin offset dictates what's the distance between the avatar and the clothing, and once we understand that, we can use this to our advantage. So if we change this to 10, this is what happens. If you enjoy this content or find it useful, please consider supporting me by buying me a cup of coffee via the link in the description. It's almost like the figure underneath got way bulkier. He's just a lot more muscular, and we can see that the garments, they change, they become slimmer. So this is one way to change the look of the garments. Instead of going into, let's say, 2D view and scaling those things here, changing the weft and warp, we can instead go into the avatar settings and change the skin offset, and we can achieve a desired look. And we can do the opposite. We can change the skin offset to, let's say, 0, and this will make the garments just slightly looser, because there won't be any distance between the skin and the garments. The next option is, well, both of them is static friction and kinetic friction, and those are quite helpful. If we are working on something like bandages, let's say we want our character to have some kind of a bandage on the arm, or we're making some kind of bracelets or ropes or something like that. That doesn't have to be those elements, but basically something that is quite light and is lying on the surface of the avatar. Very often that we will find ourselves in a situation where the clothing, those garments that we've created, they start sliding off the avatar, and there is no way to stop them. We either should freeze them like that, and so they stay in the same position, but this will terminate all the simulation that can happen to those garments. But if we don't want this kind of sliding to happen on our garments, we can change the friction. So all we need to do is to set both of those friction to a higher number. So in this case, we can set to, let's say, 0.8. And once we do that, we will see that the garments, they simply stick. The surface of the avatar becomes so rough that there is no way for the garments to slide. So again, in the situations, even for example, when we have sleeves rolled up, it's very often that those sleeves, they will start to fall down. So one way to combat that is to freeze again those ends of the sleeves. But another way is somewhat more, I would say, realistic, because it doesn't stop the simulation on the whole garment, is to change the friction in here. And this could be also quite useful for animations when we create some kind of animation in here, and we notice that let's say the character has a dress or something like that, and the parts of the dress, they keep on sliding off, they falling down from the shoulders, from the avatar. This is where we can fix that. We can change the static or kinetic friction. And there are no certain numbers in here. Definitely I would recommend checking those, trying different things, but this could be a good one to play around with. Then we have the material, and we talk about materials in another video, so I will not spend any time on this in here. And lastly, in the miscellaneous, we have the division and smoothness of the surface of the avatar. So if you're familiar with any 3D application, you should know what division levels are. It's the same as subdivision levels in ZBrush, for example, or let's say Turbo Smooth in 3ds Max. It works exactly the same way. It will simply subdivide the surface of the avatar. And the way it works is that we need to tick this option called Smooth. If we go down here to the division level and we start changing the number, we can see that nothing really happens. But once we press the Smooth, we can see that there is some calculation taking place, and this will subdivide the surface of the avatar. So for example, if the avatar is just too low poly, there are not enough polygons, and when we subdivide the garments, when we decrease the particle distance of the garments, and we see that this blockiness of the avatar is starting to come through, instead of going back to the original program where we've created the avatar, we can always come down here in Marvelous and change the subdivision or division levels manually here, and this will make the surface so much smoother, and it will definitely improve the look of the garments if they are in fact very thin and quite dense themselves in terms of the polygons and the particle distance. To get back to the default avatars, I would like to talk a little bit about the joints, that the avatars come with. So if we go into the avatar panel right here on the left and click on the X-ray view, this will show us all the joints that the default avatars have. And so if we to do some kind of posture, if we don't use our own models, our own avatars, and we want to create a particular posture, we can come in this view and start modifying some things in here. We can move the arms, we can do everything. This is basic rigging, basic animation, all of those things. And I'm not going to spend too much time in here because everything that it does, it simply allows us to create a pose. That's about it. But the good thing about Marvelous is that we can import avatars, other models from another application that has the structure, that has the bond structure, and Marvelous will recognize that. So this is very nice, because if we are working in let's say in a production for films or for video games, we can have a character that is already rigged and skinned and all of that, and we can import this whole structure into Marvelous. And if there is a stage in the production that is block out, we can create a simple block out of the garments, and well, we can either ask an animator to do the pose, or we can do it ourselves. We can come in here and quickly modify some things, and this will give a much better representation of the character by having some kind of life in it, instead of the standard T-pose. And once we are happy, once we create the pose that we want and that we like, we can come in here into File, click Save As, and then here find Pose, and this will save the pose of the avatar. So anytime we want to get back to this, we can always load this as either as a morph target or as a pose that is right here.